Brian Kufal. Martin Chapa. Here. David Garcia. Here. Jacob Perez. Here. Delma Salinas.
Here.
And Joseph Ruiz here. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move to a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We now move on to item 4, public participation. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
No, sir.
Okay. We now move on to item 5, communication from administration. Item 5A, superintendent's update, all the way from the Windy City, and Dr. Luz Martinez.
Good afternoon, board president, board members, and members of the public. Thank you for allowing me to attend this meeting virtually as I get professional development on school improvement, the important work that we're doing in the district. Dr. Welch is sitting on my behalf on the dais today, and we just want to give a quick update on summer school. Dr. Welch, can you please talk to us a little bit about summer school, please?
Yes, we are in the third week of summer school. One more week to go. So far, we've had solid attendance. We, again, as I explained, I believe it was last meeting, about 2 days absence. After the first week, we pared down some students, but now students are engaged. We just finished our summer bridge program where we had our 8th graders going to summer school preparing for the TSI test. We've had a lot of success. They will be testing here shortly for TSI. Our ELC retesters will be taking their first test the end of this week, and then all next week they'll be doing their makeup ELCs. And again, we've had good participation in attendance with the rules of no more than 2 days absence. And we are at the middle schools. As a matter of fact, Ms. Loveladies here. She's been running our elementary summer school, and I was there today visiting and coaching teachers. And we've also been at the high school, my team coaching. So we've used this opportunity in summer school to continue teaching and coaching our teachers and also coaching our administrators. So we've made it a fruitful endeavor, not only for our students, but also for our staff and teachers.
All right, thank you, Dr. Welch. A reminder to all the community that our district offices and all schools will be closed from the 29th of June till the 3rd of July for our staff to have the opportunity to recharge and come back on Monday, July 6th, to continue the important work that we're doing in our schools. Thank you so much. That is all for me.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez and Dr. Welch, for that information. We now move on to item 5B, budget recap report, check register for April 2026. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz, Dr. Welch, and members of the board. If you look at the top of the check register, we did have Chromebooks that we ordered. Again, this is the April check register, so these were Chromebooks that we used this year for STAR testing. You also see Corpus Christi ISD there. We contract with them every year with their Texas Regional School for the Deaf. And so this is a tuition for the 25-26 school year. I'll take any other questions you have on the check register.
Any other questions from the board?
Dr. Pitts,
Yes, sir.
just the very first one, the electricity usage, that's 1 month of usage?
Yes, that's 1 month
The
of
month of
usage.
April,
No, it's for the month of, it would be for the month of March.
March?
Yes, sir.
So as the months get hotter, you're probably looking up a little bit
Yes.
higher, right? Okay. Who's our light company again?
So Direct Energy is the one that we have a lease through 2033, and we have it at 4.04 cents per kilowatt hour. So we have a very good rate locked in for that time. AEP is the provider, but the one that we purchase our energy through is Direct Energy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you, Dr. Pitts. We now move on to item 5C, construction and maintenance update, Dr. Pitts.
So we have several updates. I'm going to start with Gillette. At Gillette, we had some ceiling tiles that fell, and we had a cafeteria inspection, and they definitely said that we needed to repair that, and we did. We also tried to solve the roof of the problem. We had contractors that we hired to fill in the leaks on top of the roof so that it wouldn't happen again. They did that, and then there was an additional leak, but it was under warranty. We had them come back, and we think that we hopefully have most of that issue taken care of right now. But we are looking at roofing in several different areas right now. There are some leaks still here at the administration building in a few areas, so we're looking at identifying those and getting them patched from the top. And we are looking at also the at Harvey. There's still a few leaks at Harvey. We're looking at being patched right now as well too. And then there's minors at other schools, but we are looking at bringing a major roofing presentation to the next board workshop of the state of all of our roofs. So we know what can be repaired, what can be, and what needs to be replaced, and the severity of each one. We'll bring that before the board probably at the August workshop. At the high school, they have started breaking ground on the project for the parking lot. If you've been by there, you probably noticed that they have scraped down the whole surface in front of the tennis courts, going all the way to the ag buildings over there. Right now, they were actually working today pumping water out because they want to get started and move forward with that project. So they're now going to be also working on the area by the Fine Arts building as well too. Tennis courts probably should start next week. Tennis courts, we're waiting to dry. That is a requirement before they can start laying the surface. What they will do is they will first flood the courts with water. Of course, they're probably already flooded to make sure they identify all the cracks. They will fill all the cracks, and then they will go ahead and put a surface on top of it. So that will hopefully start next weekend. And I have them coordinated together, the paving company and the tennis courts, so that they make sure that they don't interfere with each other. But both of them say they're used to working simultaneously with other projects as well too. So we also have the domes. So at the domes, we have couple of things. We are currently looking at the HVAC system, but we're also looking at the flooring as well too. Some of the flooring has bubbled up in some of the gyms, and it's not a simple replacement. The reason why is because of how those bubbles got there and what we need to do so they don't just reoccur again, because we can't just replace the flooring there. There's a couple of issues. Some of it is condensation, which has to do with the HVAC system, but also some of it has to do with the foundation as well too. And I believe we have someone that is going to present tonight from AGCM as well too, a little bit later on that. But that's something that we are working on. The status of that lawsuit is that December 14th through 18th is when it goes to trial. They're going to try one more time to go to arbitration right before that, but we should be getting some monies for Harvey to cover some of the damages on the skylight there. So again, we already were awarded monies for the domes, but this is for the Harvey skylight. I'll take any questions that you have so far on any of these projects.
And going back to your first item, you said tiles fell. Can you be more specific? Like what, I know you said Gillette. but
Yeah,
what exactly?
so Gillette, a lot of times like these ceiling tiles right here, if they get saturated with water, they will eventually fall. So we had to replace those, but the issue wasn't just the tiles. We had to solve the issue where the leak was coming from. So they went on top. We tried to do it ourselves first and it came back. So we got a vendor that came and patched up the roof, and we think that it should be leak proof now.
So was it in the classroom or the cafeteria?
This was in the cafeteria.
Dr. Pitts, is the floor, the gym floor, is it something that's, have we allocated money for that? Was there money that we received from any kind of insurance? or anything?
So there is money allocated. We have $1.1 million from the settlement. So that money is allocated to take care of all issues at the school. But again, we're going to have a presentation about that right now, about the many different underlying issues, but that would be something that we do have a pot of money for, but we probably don't have all the money we need to take care of all of the issues at the dome. So we're going to talk about what exactly the issues are and what the projection is to fix all of those issues in just a moment.
When did the district receive the funds for the gym?
It was about a year ago.
When did we know about the problem?
This issue was just identified to us in the last, well, I'm guessing in the last month or so. That's when we became aware of the bubbling up. They said that they noticed it a little bit at first, but it really just recently just kind of blossomed. I don't know what the right word for it is, but just bubbled up all of a sudden on them. But I'm sure it's something that has been building over time.
So did we know about that? Do you know, does the maintenance guys know if we knew about, you said they did know about it?
They just reported to us about a month ago. And the ones that reported it to us were the coaches. They were noticing the bubbles on the floor. And they said that again, it just kind of came out of nowhere from hardly anything to just big bubbles on the floor. The biggest bubbles right now are in Gym A, in the kind of near where the posts are. And I'll let AG Sam talk a little bit about that in just a minute, because, and then at the Dome B, it is around the periphery, close to where the bleachers are when you push the bleachers in. So we're going to move to the next item in just a second, which is specifically on those domes right now.
I have
So,
a question for you
Yes,
before
ma'am.
you move on.
yes,
Going back to when we received the money, you said it was a year ago.
it was.
So when we received the money, did they specify what it was supposed to be used for? And if so, did we look into the problem or did we just kind of let it go?
The money was specified to use for any and all repairs at the dome. So it doesn't have to be used on something specifically. And we'll get into the domes in just a minute. That's the next item. But any questions on any of the other construction projects before we dive in a little deeper on the domes?
Questions from the board? So now we move on, I guess, to item 5D, HMK FEMA domes update.
At this time, I'm going to introduce Amos Byington from AGCM, and they have done some preliminary work, and they're going to present what they have found.
Hi, good evening. Our firm was, Dr. Pitts called our firm the other day, a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the FEMA domes. They were constructed in a way that probably had some design and construction defects that led to a lawsuit. There was a settlement. I think that it was about 1.4 million-ish about is what you guys got. The 1.1 million in settlement. And we did take a look at the lawsuit and started to see what was in the lawsuit that needed to be fixed. It does have a cost estimate of a little over 5 million. And so he asked us to take a look at it. And so we started looking at the lawsuit, and it's very similar to what we did at the high school, the drainage project, which was, it had a lawsuit as well. It was more than probably, the cost of the repairs were more than what it would have been, what we needed to do the repairs. So we had to sit down and take a look at what are the options at that point. And so we discovered that there was probably 13 different points in the lawsuit. We were able to look at it in a way that, well, okay, if we spent money on just getting the water away from the building with from the downspouts and roof drains, that was about 80% of the solution right there, and it was about 20% of the cost. So we were starting to look at things in terms of priorities and look at things in terms of return on investments. I think that we're going to have to do a very similar thing on these domes. These domes have two different functions. Number one, they are a facility that the district uses probably on a daily basis, but they're also a place of refuge in a storm situation. There were different kinds of things identified in the lawsuit. Everything from there's humidity issues, so there's something going on with the HVAC system. There's roof repairs. There's roof leaks. I think at one time there was some growth issues that I think what has been taken care of at this point, as I understand. There's some wood flooring issues. There's some masonry issues on the outside, so some of the face brick is not attached correctly. There's some issues about water storage and sanitation storage. There's some issues that have to do with protecting the generator for power. There's quite a few issues. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to address every single one of them with the money that we have, but we'll have to go through that same process. The scope's completely different than the high school drainage program, but the process is very similar. And so some of the first things that we were thinking about doing was, before we fix the floor, we've got to understand why is the floor, the gym floor buckling, or else we'll get caught in a situation where we fix something and then you're going to end up spending money fixing it again later. So the two things that we probably recommend doing at the very beginning is understanding what's underneath that slab. It is an elevated slab, which from what I understand, looking at just a few of the details, that means the slab it's a clay soil system underneath there, which really pushes slabs around. So what you typically do in this situation is really it's like putting they're called cardboard carton forms. So you put cardboard boxes on the ground, you put plywood on top of it, you pour your slab on top of that. So now your slab is above the ground. So anytime the clay is moving around, it's not touching your slab anymore. What that means is you really only have about 8 to 12 inches between the ground and the slab. there's probably not an access door there to go look like we did on the high school and see that there's actually water. So we're probably going to need to do some destructive kind of investigation where we cut a hole in just the right place and see what's going on underneath the slab. And then once we know if there's moisture underneath there, that's going to help us make some decisions moving forward. The other thing is we're probably going to need to get a commissioning agent to come out and take a look at the HVAC system. There's still a possibility that maybe something's just not working right. If not, we'll identify if it's working correctly, it's not designed right, then we'll learn that as well. So those are the first two things that probably need to be done before we sit down and even make any kind of game plans. And so Dr. Pitts just asked me to come share this information, see if you had any questions from there.
So essentially, there's a lot of issues, but we haven't really defined what they all are until we go, I guess, dig deep to find out what kind of water, I guess, accumulation is under the foundation. We really don't know the extent of the damage at this point.
I think it's less about the damage at this point and more about why is it happening. So I think once we fix those things, and you're right, we're still early in the process. We do have some good data from the lawsuit, but there's the next step, right? And that is to understand, well, how do we fix some of these things? Did you want to say something?
Mr. Byington,
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but I want to double check with you anyway. Because these are FEMA domes and partially federal, does that change anything? I know the settlement was different from the school, but there was some federal funds, correct?
I think, so we weren't involved during its construction or its funding. I suspect that is true. That's a great question that I don't have an answer for. It may be that all the funds that were available have been used at this point, but that's something that we would probably need to look into at some point in time. Yes.
So these would be the steps involved. Right now, as you had said, Mr. Reese, we don't know the extent of the damage. We don't know how much it would cost, even though according to the lawsuit, it said 5.2 million. But just like Mr. Byington said, if we had a similar issue with the drainage at the school, that it said it was going to cost a lot more to fix. And what the first step will be doing after you identify what the issue is, then you put together what the solution is. And if there's 6 different points to your solution and 3 of them are going to solve most of your problem and are within budget, you do what you can do there. So, but right now the first phase would be an investigative phase where we try to see what the issue is. And then once we see what the issue is, we could come back to the board and we'll have a better idea of possibly what the solutions are going to be and how much each one of those solutions is going to cost. But this is going to be kind of a multi-phase process where first because we can't go out for bids until we know exactly what the problem is and what the solution is to fix it. So that's the first part of the step. We'll take any other questions you have.
Mr. Amos said, thank you for coming and explaining that, but I guess my question is to legal right now. I'd like to find out, Mr. Maddox, if we can go back and see when the first maintenance report was given to the district or to up front over here, because I don't like being lied to, okay? And I don't like for them to bring people up to throw us off with the stories of we know the problems we have with the dome. We sat in workshops, hours and hours and hours. Okay? And then to tell me that this was only reported a month ago, it's just a slap in the face to me. So I'd really like to see if there was a maintenance request acquisition, whatever, to make, repairs at that FEMA dome. I don't know how we can get that. I don't want to go through CFO, want to go through our legal so we can start getting this figured out, because we could go from a $20,000 project, which could have been, now to maybe a $5 million project. All because we sat on a check that might have been there. So, and I'm sorry, I just had to, I just don't like being lied to.
Sir, we can take care of that.
Let me clarify, the buckling is what was just reported to us recently. Yes, we have been aware of the HVAC issues and of the ceiling issues and so on like that. So I apologize for the miscommunication.
Any other questions on the board? Okay, thank you, Dr. Cruz, thank you.
Thank you.
We now move on to item number 6, new business. By common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action item the following. Approval of the board meeting minutes of April 9th and May 15. They were found on pages 15 through 20. Is there a motion to accept these minutes?
So moved.
Motion made by Delma Salinas.
Second.
Second made by Jake Perez. By roll call vote, Joe Mireles, out. Brian Kufal, out. Martin Chapa. David Garcia.
Yes.
Jacob Perez.
Yes.
Delma Salinas.
Yes.
And Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 4-2. We now move on to item 6B, discussion and possible action regarding the First Amendment of, an extension to the agreement for clinical services between the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley and Kingsville Independent School District, Dr. Joseph Welch.
Thank you, President Ruiz, board members and community. The background information on this is a clinical service rendered from UT Rio Grande Valley to Kingsville Independent School District. They provide services for our students on campus. The items that we are addressing is the First Amendment and extension to the agreement for clinical services between the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and Kingsville Independent School District. At this time, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the First Amendment and extension to the agreement for clinical services between the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and Kingsville Independent School District. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir. Can you go into just a little bit of detail about it?
Yes, sir. So as I was saying, they provided each of our campuses with clinical services. So instead of our children having to have a designated doctor, or I shouldn't say doctor, but a psychologist or psychiatrist, but they would have to leave campus, they actually are able to schedule with parent consent to do a mobile service. So they've given us kind of like iPads on rollers, is the best way I can describe it, where our children are brought in typically by the counselor into a room, they're sitting down, and so they're having a teledoc service provided to them, and they'll be able to do that. Then again, upon conclusion, able to quickly return back to class. So the minimum class miss that is also providing a service for our families.
Do we have any other questions from the board? So do I have a motion to accept the First Amendment and extension to the agreement for clinical services between University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and the Independent School District? So moved. Motion made by Jake Perez,
I'll second.
second by Delma Salinas. By roll call vote, Joe Mireles, Brian Kufal, Martin Chapa,
Yes.
David Garcia,
Yes.
Jacob Perez, yes, Delma Salinas,
Yes.
and Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 4-2. We now move on to item 6C. I'm sorry.
5-0 though, isn't it? Because they're not really voting against it.
Okay. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's as if it was an abstention.
So we now move on to item 6C, discussion and possible action regarding a good cause exemption for armed security. Officer Mr. Max Segovia.
Good evening, Board President Joseph Reese, Dr. Martinez, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Welch. Today, I'm coming before you for the good cause exception. This is a Texas House Bill 3, where districts must have an armed security officer on every campus during regular school hours. If a district cannot comply due to lack of funding or qualified personnel, school boards can claim a good cause exception and implement an alternative safety security plan. In the past, we have opted for the Guardian program. So I'm just coming before you so we can continue that, the good cause exception.
Campus, don't we?
Yes, we have 3 safety officers at our high school currently. We have 2 at our middle school, and we'll have 1 at Clayburgh and 1 at Harvey, and they all are armed. And all of them have, as well as I, have gone through the Guardian program.
So the good cause exemption is that, they have the right to.
Yes, we just
defend the
continue.
school.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because of the lack of funding and or qualified personnel, we can go with the good cause exception.
Board, may I make a clarification? We used to have 7 security guards. 1 resigned, so that's why we only have 6. And so we would have had to reduce 1 security guard, but because of attrition, we do not need to undergo that process. So we are fully staffed in that regard.
Okay. Any more questions from the board? Okay, so do we have a motion to accept the good cause exemption, or to accept the good recommendation for the good cause exemption for armed security officer?
So moved.
Motion made by David Garcia. Second by Martin Chapa. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa.
Yes.
David Garcia.
Yes.
Jacob Perez. Yes. Elma Salinas.
Yes.
Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Max. We now move on to item 6D, discussion and possible action regarding the 2026, 2027 board meetings calendar. So as the board has received the calendar, I mean, typically we meet, the first Tuesday of every month, and then the third Tuesday of the month. I know that there is some adjustments made in August because of budgets, things we gotta approve, by certain times, but for the most part, it's 1 workshop a month and then 1 as needed. And then we have a regular board meeting. You have the dates there in front of you that are found on page 26. Is there any questions or recommendations from the board that they want to adjust, or if everything looks good? Is there a motion to accept the 2026, 2027 board meetings calendar?
So moved.
Motion made by Delma Salinas. Second by Jake Perez. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa,
Yes.
David Garcia,
Yes.
Jacob Perez,
Yes.
Elma Salinas,
Yes,
and Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 5-0. We now on discussion and possible action regarding the athletic stipends. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. This has been presented before, and we came back with some clarification on some of the athletic stipends. If you have any questions for myself or for Coach Graham, we would be happy to answer them.
I've got some questions. Looking at what was given to us, how many assistant varsity football coaches are there? Are there gonna be 9 or 6?
So if you look at, there are going to be 6 next year that are classified as a varsity assistant. Then there is actually also a special teams coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and an offensive coordinator in addition to this.
So then there's 9, not 6, right? There's 9 varsity assistant coaches. That's the way I see
You wanna
it.
answer that?
Yes, yes.
Right,
Yes.
sir?
Yes,
Okay.
not.
Okay. I have some concerns of some of these stipends. I feel, and I don't know how the board feels, that really are not needed, but this is just my opinion. Academic coordinator, the coaches, the counselors of each sport, the head coach of each sport, the counselors, are really, and I know it's to assist them, that's what it says on the description, but, I just feel that's not needed. Equipment coordinator, which is another $4,000, and I know it says for all sports, but when I coached, we took care of our equipment. Field coordinator. Now, is that just for football, coach?
No, it's favorable.
For everybody?
Yes.
Then we have the strength and conditioning coordinator, which again, I feel that each coach needs to take care of their varsity individuals or freshmen or whatever it may be, whoever's in that sport, they should be taking care of that because that's another $7,000. And I know it's one of the assistants, varsity assistants included. No, I'm sorry, it's not. Never mind. So, are any of the coaches getting multiple stipends?
They're gonna probably have to because they're gonna have to cover multiple sports.
And then my last question is, let's see. The football head coach, one director, $7,000 football based stipend. I don't understand what's $3,500 for additional head coaching responsibilities. What does that mean, coach?
I'm not sure
The very last bullet under football stipends, where the football head coach, the director, is going to get a $7,000 stipend for coaching varsity football, but then there's a $3,500 additional for head coaching responsibilities. It's off the second page here. It's not on that stipend list.
I can answer that one. So if you look at the original list, it says for football head coach, it's $10,500. What we did is we just broke that down there. So that $10,500 that's on the schedule, in other words, everybody that coaches varsity, that the base that they start off is $7,000. And then different people get different amounts. Like for instance, if you look at special teams, instead of them getting $7,000, they're actually getting $8,000 on the list because they've got $1,000 extra for the special teams duties. The offensive and defensive coordinators, they would have gotten $7,000 anyway just for being a coach on varsity, but then they get $2,250 extra for their extra responsibilities for offense and defensive line. And the same thing with the head coach. We just broke it down. $7,000 is the base for varsity football, and then as they get additional duties, we kind of broke it out for you.
And my question was, I understand everything you just said, Dr. Pitts, but my question is the head coach what does additional head coaching responsibilities mean? If he's already a head coach of football, is he gonna be also be the head coach in the other sports? I just don't understand what that means. Additional head coaching responsibilities. And you're talking about $3,500.
It's just for football. So all of those are just for football, because that in all the districts, they have for an assistant, they have an amount. And then the ones that have special teams or offensive, defensive line or head coach, they are paid more than what the assistants are paid, because they're not assistants. They are directing a certain area.
I totally understand, Peter Pitts,
Okay.
but what Mr. Perez was asking you is, what are the additional duties? Had you just said it was a $10,000 stipend, that would have been a little easier to understand. Because I believe that's what we've seen in the past. And also, all those other coaches that are getting, say, $7,000 for football assistant, and then say another $1,500 for whatever else you just mentioned. So does that mean it's only one coach? So in reality, it's gonna be 6 coaches instead of 9. Because, right?
No.
But it's like, because they're also gonna be special teams, so they're gonna be head coach and special teams. So they're gonna get, it's one coach with the 2 stipends, or is it 2 separate coaches?
All of those football stipends are independent. So they are either a varsity assistant, that's one clarification, they get one stipend, $7,000 if they're a varsity assistant. Or if they're special teams, they would get $8,000. Or if they are offensive and defensive line, they would get what you see listed, offensive and defensive coordinator, $9,250, and but they only get one stipend. They do not get multiple stipends.
Again, Dr. Pitts, my question has not been answered for the football head coach. The $3,500, what does additional head coaching responsibilities mean? What is that? Is he gonna be helping other head coach? You know, I don't understand that part. I don't mind the stipend, he needs to get a stipend, but you know, it's like, Ms. Salinas says, the $10,500, I would have understood that because he's head coach of the varsity. But when you look at $3,500, I just wanna, my question is what does that mean, additional head coaching responsibilities?
Well, I would say this, because it's a $7,000 stipend, because that's one base stipend, everybody's getting $7,000. Me being the head coach, I have to look over everyone, not only the varsity, JV, if we do have a freshman team, etc. So additional, as far as 3,500, I have more responsibility than the other coaches by far. So when those duties, that means I'm still overseeing all of our assistant coaches.
Thank you very much.
That
That's exactly
explains it
what-
right there, Coach.
Yes.
exactly
Okay.
what I was looking for.
Because the way you make it sound this way,
Mhm.
you gotta justify for those other things just to give you a little bit more.
I think just giving you the 10-5
Right.
would have been a lot easier than to break
Break
it
it
up,
down.
because in the past, that's what they've received.
You're the athletic director, so you know, we already knew
Yeah.
that was gonna happen, that you
Right.
have to do that.
Right.
So, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to accept the administration's recommendation for the athletic stipends?
So move.
Motion made by David Garcia. Second by Martin Chapa. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa.
Yes.
David Garcia.
Yes.
Jacob Perez.
No,
Delma Salinas.
No,
And Joseph Reese, yes. The motion carries 3-2.
Coach, this is your first year here. We're letting you run your department.
Yes.
So we trust you with that.
All right.
So have a good season and we're here for you anyway.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now I'm on to item number 7, closed session. The board will enter into closed session in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.071 and 551.074 to deliberate and consider the following. Item 7A, consider and deliberate regarding the resignation/retirement of contract employee. Item 7B, consider and deliberate regarding the employment of contracted personnel. Item 7C, discussion with legal counsel regarding legal and personnel matters. Item 7D, discussion regarding the intruder detection audit report. Item 7E, discussion regarding the district vulnerability assessment. Item 7F, discussion regarding the KISD safety and security audit. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering into closed session at 6:15 PM. We now return to open session, take necessary action on which matters the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are returning to open session at 7:56 p.m. We now on to item 8A, discussion and possible action regarding the resignation/retirement of contracted employees. Is there a motion to accept the administration's recommendation?
So moved.
Motion made by David Garcia. Second by Jake Perez. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa. David Garcia.
Yes.
Jacob Perez.
Yes.
Elma Salinas.
Yes.
And Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item 8B, discussion and possible action regarding the employment of contracted personnel. Is there a motion to accept administration's recommendation?
So moved.
Motion made by Delma Salinas. Second by David Garcia. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa.
Yes.
David Garcia.
Yes.
Jacob Perez.
Yes.
Elma Salinas.
Yes.
And Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, President. I'd like to introduce you to our new high school principal, Mr. Robertson, Darius Robertson.
Congratulations, Mr. Robertson. Welcome to our district. We are so happy that you're here. We're here to support. Anything you need, go Ramus. All right. We now move on to item 8C, discussion and possible action regarding legal matters.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the boards of trustees, if I may have a motion to authorize legal counsel as discussed in executive, please.
Was there a motion to accept council's recommendation?
So moved.
Motion made by Delma Salinas.
Second.
Second made by Martin Chapa. By roll call vote, Martin Chapa,
Yes.
David Garcia,
Yes.
Jacob Perez,
Yes.
Delma Salinas,
Yes.
and Joseph Reese, yes. Motion carries 5-0. There being no further action, I do hereby adjourn this meeting at 7:58 p.m.
Thank you.